Hi, welcome to episode 30 again. Well folks, I just want to say that I'm redoing this episode. For those of you who might have noticed, I had to remove a video. Now the reason I did this was because someone, actually a friend, quite rightly pointed out that I should have been wearing a helmet. So I just want to apologize for that. And my friend pointed out a couple of errors in that video. So what I want to do is redo the video and get it right. So I do apologize. Always remember folks, use a helmet even for ground handling, and definitely shoes and back protection. Now just to let you know, this is an old harness, but it does actually have back protection. In case any of you is wondering, it's got a seat board inside. So I do feel it's important to have back protection even if you're just doing ground handling, for the simple reason that if you get pulled over or maybe you get accidentally lifted up, you know, you've still got some protection there. Well, on top of the Compton Cliffs, there's a very, very light southerly wind, and I'm going to be practicing showing you the forward launch, how to do that correctly, as I had a couple of slight mistakes in my last video, so I do apologize for that. This is partly because I just never used this launch, but I wanted to do it again properly and show you that. And also from that episode that was removed, there was a couple of things where I didn't know which way to turn, so I'm going to talk about that. Doing the reverse launch, I'm going to talk about which side is the correct side to turn, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, from the reverse position to the forward position, depending on the wind. So here today, the wind is actually coming from the right. It's just coming off from the right hand side of the ridge. You can see the cliffs down there. Sorry about the sun, it's a bit bright. It's just slightly off to the right. Now basically the correct way to turn, if the wind is off to the right, is to turn left. Because if you think about it, if you're facing the wing, okay, if the wind is coming from, it's now your left now, so because you're facing the wing, so if the wind is coming from here, it's obviously less distance to turn left. It's only about, I don't know, just over 90 degrees, isn't it? More than 90 degrees. But if you was to turn this way, to turn right, you would turn all the way around and to there. So I should have really realized that last time, but you know, it's not something I've thought about until I've actually taught this. So when you get into the harness, I normally face the wing. I have the harness facing the wing, but depending on which way you're going to turn, you turn either one way or the other. And I think it's a very good idea before you do a forward launch just to check that your lines are all good. And that's why I always prefer the reverse launch, because the simple reason is that you can see everything clearly. You can see the lines, you can see the risers, you can check and see if there's any pressure knots, and that you know, everything is as it should be. The brake lines should be clear underneath the risers, nothing tangled or twisted. The risers should be crossed as close to you as possible, not crossed on the lines but crossed on the risers. And then for the reverse launch, of course, you're reaching forward, and I like to just hold the two A's in the two A risers in my left hand, and then I have the free brake on this side. And of course, if you need to change the brake, you just simply do that, and you can just swap over and change the brake hand. Some people like to do the 3-axis method, where you can hook the other brake, and I will talk about the Mitsos method in a moment as well. But we'll do the forward launch first. So once you're happy, I mean, obviously you wouldn't need to forward launch at the moment because there's a bit of breeze, and you would only really use the forward launch if you're on a very steep takeoff, say in the Alps, and you've got a limited space and you really want to be able to see the steep cliff or steep slope in front of you. Maybe there's some boulders that you really need to see, and you want to just be in a perfect position ready to go. So let's just imagine we're in that situation. So once you're happy with your wall, you just turn and then just make sure that everything is correct. So the secret is to make sure that I like to put the brakes through and on my wrists, and the risers should be on top of your arms. Okay, not underneath. You shouldn't be this way. It should be on top. Then you reach to the A's like so. And I've got my brakes through my wrists. One final check behind, check ahead, check for traffic, and then leaning forward as you pull. And then up she goes. You can see how easy that is. Just straight away the wing pops up. And I'm just moving to the center of the wing to keep it all above my head. Check and go. It's important to really be committed. Once you've got the wing above your head, that's the time when you're in this position, arms out and up, brakes, you know, obviously full speed. And then once you're in this position, then that's when you start putting energy into the system. You're checking everything's clear, you're checking your lines, and go. Commitment. If there's something wrong with the wing, abort. So let's just go through turning, which way to turn. So as I said just at the beginning, if the wind is from the right, which it is at the moment, it's coming from there, then I need to be turning left. So that means in my normal reverse position, I'm turning left. So pull up, walk at the wing if I need to, and then off we go. So that's why it's very important to practice turning both ways. So if we do the other way, that obviously would be if the wind is blowing more from the left-hand side of the ridge. I'm going to be turning right this time. So I've just literally crossed over everything. I still prefer to hold the A's in my left hand. This is because I'm right-handed and my strongest hand is my right hand. So I then prefer to use my right hand for the back risers if I'm going to do the Mitsos takeoff, which I'll just in a minute I will go into that, or whatever, you know, brakes basically. So I've got to, first of all, I've got to look at the risers and remind before I take off which riser is on top. This will avoid the problem of turning the wrong way accidentally and taking off twisted. Now I've done this once and it's really scary, and I've accidentally done that, turned the wrong way, and I was airborne and it was windy and I was unable to abort the launch. So I literally, what I had to do was literally let the wing fly, just relax, and then it untwisted me. And so if that ever happens to you and it's too late to abort, obviously if you can, you need to bang the brakes down and abort. If it's too late, then you just need to go with it if you've got no choice, but don't start panicking. You've got to let the wing fly off and then obviously hope you're flying straight, and then it will untwist you because the risers are pulling apart. So, but to avoid that mistake, check which riser is on top. So if the right riser is on top, that means I need to turn right. If the left riser is on top, that means I need to turn left. So the right riser's on top, that means I'm turning right. Up we go. And I've turned that way. Let's talk about the Mitsos launch. The Mitsos launch was named after Mark Mitsos, and he was flying in the mid-90s, and it was in the mid-90s that he developed this takeoff technique, and the name stuck after him, after his name. And if I come a bit closer to the camera, you'll see what I'm going to do. So you can see the wind's gone round. For the Mitsos launch, it's basically using the back risers and the front risers. And officially, you should hold the back risers that way and the front risers that way. So if you see my hands there, and as you pull, now this technique is designed for windy takeoffs. So as you pull up the wing, you've got control of the back risers and you're able to control the wing and hold it. And Greg Hamilton talks about this as a kiting technique. which is perfect. As you can see what I'm doing here, I'm kiting the wing and able to control it. Now you can use this in a light wind days to walk up the hill, to kite up the hill like this. But on a windy day, on a windy cliff, for example, it's perfect for pulling up into the power zone, and then just as it's overhead, you're killing the wing on the back risers. Not killing it, but killing the power, I should say. So let's just show you again. Up and then kill the power and stop the wing. Now, obviously it's easy in these light winds, but if it was a windy day, this is when this technique comes into its own. You've got limited yaw authority. So to yaw the wing, for example, if it started to drift over there, that way, I can use it using the front risers to go there and the back risers to go there. So you're using the front and back risers to actually control it. But if the wing goes right over to the side, you just tend to have to go onto the brakes to regain control, because especially on a bigger wing, it's easy on this one, but on a C wing, or certainly a C or a D wing, you've not got the authority on the yaw because of the high aspect ratio. Now I tend to hold the back risers a bit wrong, not officially. I hold them like that. So if you look at my hand, I find it just a bit easier to hold in this position, but officially it's like this. Kill that power. It's whatever suits you, whatever feels right to you, but officially this hand should be that way up. And I'll just show you how wonderful that can be for kiting. So for example, you want to use the wing as a sail to take you up the hill. You want to keep the wing in around about that position, which is, I suppose, what, 60 degrees? And as you can see, it can pull you up the hill like this. It's really useful on light days when you're hot and you don't want to bother packing and mushrooming the wing. You just use it like a sail, look, to kite up the hill. It's a lovely technique, and I use this a lot on light wind days for kiting. So as you can see, I can hold the wing even in very light winds, just in this position, which is, I suppose, I don't know how many degrees, 45 degrees off the ground. And I'm just letting the wing pull me up, and when it starts to drop, I stop, and I can just do that. And it's great practice for controlling the wing. And then when you're ready to go, you let go of the back risers, check, and go. Hands up, lean forwards. So you have got limited yaw authority with the Mitsos. As you can see, I'm really trying now. I've got the front risers pushing to the right, back risers pushing to the left as far as I can. And there we go. It's taken quite a bit to get that to come round to level again. So it does take a bit of patience when you're first doing it, because you've not got the control that you have on the brakes. Now, another important thing to note is when you pull the wing up in the reverse launch, or I should say when you're doing the reverse launch, don't get into the bad habit of doing this. Right, here we go, let's show you. Pull up, stop, check, and then it's down, you see. Let's try again. So you're pulling up the wing and stopping, checking, looking, and then falling into that sort of trap. It should be one fluid motion. So you're pulling up the wing, you're looking, you're checking the lines and turning and going. So pull, check, go. When you're ground handling, use your body to control the wing. You know, you see some beginner pilots, basically the wing goes over there, and they're just like, why won't it come back? That's because they're not using their body. So the secret is, of course, to use your body to move underneath the wing. So if the wing starts to move over there, you move over. Apply the other brake, of course, a little bit, but it's a combination of moving and braking to keep the wing overhead. If it starts to drop, then I find it's easier just to turn to face the wing and give it a boost on the front risers. It's easier than trying to reach up when you're in the forward position. You can see I swapped hands there, and that's really essential to be able to swap hands quickly if you need the opposite brake. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's helpful to some of you. I'm not an instructor and I don't claim to sort of have everything right, but you know, I'm just someone who's eager to share these things with you. I've sort of learnt most of the fine-tuning later on. You know, when you learn to paraglide, you don't tend to learn these little things like the Mitsos launch and the 3-axis method and you know, just the sort of finesse moves. And it's only really since I've joined Fly with Greg, if I can be honest with you, that I've sort of really seen the importance of these other things. And also reading books like Kelly Farina's Mastering Paragliding, which is a fantastic book. You must read it if you haven't. I highly recommend it. So thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.